You know what drives me crazy every single winter? You used the last clove from that bulb you bought 3 weeks ago. You go back to the store and the only garlic they have is soft, sprouting, or shipped from the other side of the world. And you think to yourself, there has to be a better way. Turns out there is. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow an endless supply of one of nature's most powerful healing foods using nothing but water and a glass bottle. A method that could save you hundreds of dollars every year and keep your immune system armed year-round. Welcome back to Secrets Beneath Nature. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. Now let us get into this. For most of my gardening life, I treated this particular plant like everything else. You buy it, you use it, you run out, you buy more. That cycle felt normal because that is how we have been trained to think about food. You are a consumer. The store is your source. End of story. But a few years back, I started noticing something that bothered me. The garlic at my local grocery store was almost always imported. The labels said China, Argentina, Spain. I live in the United States. We have farms everywhere. So why is 70% of the garlic Americans buy shipped from 10,000 miles away? I started digging into this, and what I found changed how I think about this little bulb completely. Most commercial garlic is treated with chemicals to prevent sprouting during shipping. It is often irradiated. By the time it reaches your kitchen, it has been sitting in warehouses and cargo containers for weeks or even months. And here is why that matters. The compound that makes garlic so powerful for your health is called allicin. It forms when you crush or cut a fresh clove. But allicin is unstable. It starts degrading within hours of being activated, so that clove you bought at the store, the one that has been traveling for 6 weeks, still tastes like garlic, but its medicinal potency is a shadow of what fresh garlic delivers. I remember standing in my kitchen one evening, peeling a clove that felt rubbery and smelled faint, and thinking there has to be a way to have fresh garlic whenever I want it, not seasonal. Not dependent on garden space or climate, just available. That question led me down a rabbit hole I never expected. I started researching hydroponic growing, water-based cultivation, the stuff NASA developed for growing food in space stations. And I discovered something that seems almost too simple to be true. You can grow garlic in water. No soil, no outdoor garden, no special equipment. Just a glass bottle, some water, and a clove. When I first tried this, I was skeptical. I thought real nutrition required soil, that you needed roots buried in earth to pull up minerals and nutrients. But plant science tells a different story. Research from multiple universities has shown that plants grown in water can match or even exceed the nutrient profiles of soil-grown plants when conditions are right. The plant does not actually eat dirt. It absorbs dissolved minerals through its roots. Water can deliver those minerals just as effectively as soil can, and in some cases more effectively because you control exactly what the plant receives. My first attempt worked. Within 4 days, I had roots. Within 10 days, I had green shoots rising from the clove, and within 3 weeks, I was cutting fresh garlic greens for my morning eggs. That was 3 years ago. I have not bought garlic at a store since. Now let me tell you why garlic specifically deserves this kind of attention, why going through the effort to grow it endlessly actually matters for your health. Garlic is not just a flavoring, it is one of the most extensively researched medicinal plants in human history. The scientific name is Allium sativum, and humans have been using it for healing for over 5,000 years. Ancient Egyptians fed it to the workers building the pyramids. Greek athletes ate it before Olympic competitions. Roman soldiers carried it on long marches. But it is not just ancient wisdom. Modern science has validated what these cultures knew instinctively. Let us start with your heart. A meta-analysis published by Dr. Karen Reed and her research team examined multiple clinical trials on garlic and blood pressure. The results showed that garlic supplementation reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 to 10 millimeters of mercury in people with hypertension. That is comparable to some prescription medications. The mechanism involves allicin simulating the production of hydrogen sulfide and nitric oxide, both of which relax blood vessel walls and improve circulation. Other studies have shown garlic helps modulate cholesterol levels, particularly reducing LDL, the type associated with arterial plaque buildup. Now consider your immune system. A study by Peter Josling, published in the journal Advances in Therapy, followed participants through a 12-week period during cold season. The group taking garlic supplements experienced 63% fewer colds than the placebo group. And when they did get sick, their symptoms resolved 70% faster. The compounds responsible include allicin, but also ajoin, diallyl disulfide, and other organosulfur molecules that garlic produces. These compounds have demonstrated antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal properties in laboratory studies. The research on garlic and cancer prevention is equally compelling. The National Cancer Institute has highlighted epidemiological studies showing that people who consume higher amounts of garlic have lower rates of certain cancers, particularly stomach and colorectal cancers. The proposed mechanism involves garlic's organosulfur compounds, affecting how the body processes carcinogens and potentially slowing tumor cell growth. I want to be clear here. Garlic is not a cure for cancer, but the research suggests it may be a meaningful part of a preventive lifestyle. Here is what connects all of this back to growing your own. These benefits depend on fresh garlic. The allicin that drives most of these effects is not sitting stable in a clove waiting to help you. It forms through a chemical reaction when the enzyme Alliinase meets the compound alliin. That reaction happens when you crush, chop, or chew a fresh clove. But Alliinase degrades over time, especially when garlic is stored poorly, shipped long distances, or irradiated. The garlic at your grocery store may have 10 or 20% of the enzyme activity that a freshly harvested clove contains. When you grow garlic yourself, you harvest it moments before you use it. Maximum enzyme activity, maximum allicin production, maximum health benefit. And when you grow it in water on your kitchen windowsill, you can have that fresh garlic available every single day, regardless of what season it is or what climate you live in. Let me give you the numbers on what this means for your wallet. The average American household uses between 2 and 3 pounds of garlic per year. Organic garlic at most grocery stores runs between $5 and $8 per pound. That is $15 to $24 per year if you are buying the cheap, conventional stuff. Closer to $40 or $50 if you buy organic, and that assumes you are actually using it before it goes bad. How many of us have thrown away garlic that sprouted or turned soft before we could use it? Now consider this. A single garlic clove in water produces harvestable greens for 2 to 3 weeks. You can eat those greens, which have a milder, slightly sweeter garlic flavor, or you can let the clove develop further. One clove leads to more cloves if you eventually transition to soil. But even if you only grow the greens, you are getting continuous fresh garlic flavor and nutrition from something that cost you essentially nothing after the initial clove. The return on investment is almost absurd. Now let me walk you through exactly how to do this. The materials are simple. You need a glass bottle or jar. Clear glass works best because you can monitor root development. A jar with a wide mouth, like a mason jar, works well. A bottle with a narrow neck can also work because it holds the cloves suspended at the right level. You need fresh garlic cloves. Organic garlic or garlic from a farmer's market is best because commercial garlic is sometimes treated with growth inhibitors. The clove must have an intact basal plate. This is the flat bottom part where the roots emerge. If that part is damaged, the clove will not root properly. You need clean water. Use filtered water or tap water that has been left out for 24 hours to let chlorine evaporate. And that is IT. No special fertilizers, no grow lights, no complex setup. First, select your cloves carefully. Choose firm cloves with no soft spots, mold, or visible damage. Larger cloves produce more robust growth. Peel away the papery outer skin but leave the thin membrane directly around the clove intact. Check the basal plate. You should see a slightly rough circular area at the bottom. That is where the roots will emerge. If it is scooped out, damaged, or missing, choose a different clove. Second, prepare your bottle. Clean it thoroughly with hot water. Make sure there is no soap residue because soap can interfere with root development. Fill the bottle with room temperature water. Here is the critical part. The water level should just barely touch the basal plate of the clove. You do not want to submerge the whole clove. That causes rot. The roots need water, and the clove itself needs air. Getting this level right is the difference between success and a moldy mess. Third, position the clove. The basal plate goes down, pointed end goes up. If you are using a wide-mouthed jar, you can suspend the clove using toothpicks. Insert 3 or 4 toothpicks around the middle of the clove at slight angles. Then rest them across the rim of the jar so the clove hangs with just its base touching the water. If you are using a narrow-necked bottle, the clove might rest naturally with the base at water level. Find what works for your container. If you are growing multiple cloves, make sure they do not touch each other. Fourth, wait and maintain. Place the bottle in a spot with indirect light. A kitchen windowsill is perfect. Avoid direct scorching sunlight because that can overheat the water and stress the plant. Roots should appear within 2 to 4 days. You will see small white nubs emerging from the basal plate. Green shoots emerge from the top within 5 to 10 days. Change the water every 2 to 3 days. This is important. Stagnant water breeds bacteria and fungi that will kill your garlic. Fresh water keeps the system clean and oxygen-rich. Fifth, harvest. Once the green shoots reach 4 to 6 inches tall, you can start cutting them. Use scissors and cut about an inch above the clove. The shoots will regrow. You can harvest from the same clove multiple times over 2 to 3 weeks. The flavor of these garlic greens is milder than a mature clove. Think of it like a cross between garlic and green onion. It is excellent raw in salads, as a garnish, scrambled into eggs, or anywhere you want a fresh garlic note without overpowering heat. After 2 to 3 weeks of harvesting, the clove will be exhausted. At that point, you have 2 choices. You can compost it and start a new clove, or you can transplant it into soil where it will develop into a full bulb over several months. For continuous supply without any gaps, I recommend running 3 or 4 bottles at once, started a week apart. That way you always have at least 1 bottle in prime harvesting stage while others are developing. Now let me address the question in the title. Why is this method hidden? I do not think there is some conspiracy to keep you from growing garlic on your windowsill, but I do think there are structural reasons why this knowledge does not spread the way it should. The commercial food system is built on dependency. Grocery stores need you to keep coming back. Seed companies and nurseries need you to keep buying. The entire model depends on you being a consumer rather than a producer. A method this simple, this cheap, this effective does not generate ongoing revenue for anyone. There is nothing to sell you. There is no subscription, no annual seed purchase, no equipment upgrade path, just a clove and some water. This also gets overshadowed by complexity bias. We tend to assume that valuable things must be complicated. If growing nutrient-dense food were really this easy, surely everyone would be doing it. Surely the experts would be talking about it constantly. But sometimes the simplest methods get buried precisely because they are too simple to seem credible. They do not make for impressive content. They do not require expertise. They just work. Traditional cultures have known about water propagation for centuries. In parts of Asia, growing garlic and green onions in water on kitchen windowsills has been common practice for generations. Mediterranean families have done versions of this for longer than anyone can trace. But as industrial agriculture scaled up and global shipping made everything available everywhere, these household practices faded into the background. We forgot that we ever knew how to do this. Here is something that changed my success rate dramatically, and I have never seen it mentioned in any mainstream gardening resource. When you set up your garlic bottle, add a single drop of raw honey to the water, not processed honey, not the stuff in the plastic bear. Use raw, unfiltered honey. This sounds strange, but the reasoning is solid. The number one reason water propagation fails is bacterial or fungal contamination. The water gets cloudy, starts smelling off, and the roots rot before the plant can establish. Raw honey has powerful, natural, antimicrobial properties. It contains hydrogen peroxide, has low water activity, and includes compounds like methyl glyoxal that inhibit microbial growth. Research on plant tissue culture has shown that small amounts of honey in growth media reduce contamination rates significantly. The sugars may also provide a mild energy source for early root development. Since I started adding 1 drop of honey per bottle, I can go 4 to 5 days between water changes instead of 2 to 3. My failure rate dropped from maybe 1 in 4 cloves to almost 0. 1 drop. That is all it takes. The old Mediterranean growers knew tricks like this. Little additions passed down through families made the difference between methods that work and methods that fail. This is one of them. If this changed how you think about growing your own food, hit subscribe. Watch the next video that will appear on your screen.